Chosen one, the message you're about to receive has been timed with precision. It is not a coincidence that you are here. There is a significant shift occurring in your life, one that may not yet be visible, but is already underway. This transformation does not depend on age, physical strength, or societal judgment. It depends on something deeper, your alignment with a divine purpose. If you've been navigating illness, fatigue, or the natural progression of aging, you may have felt diminished in value. Perhaps you've noticed that others are quicker to dismiss your contributions or overlook your presence entirely. But this isn't the conclusion of your story. In fact, it marks the beginning of an essential renewal process, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. In many societies, aging is often associated with decline, loss of vitality, relevance, or beauty. Public perception may lead individuals to internalize these judgments, reducing their self-worth based on changing appearance or physical limitations. However, this external viewpoint does not define your true value, nor does it represent the truth about your capacity to evolve. There is now a divine recalibration taking place. What seemed like limitation is being replaced with strength. Where there was pain, restoration is emerging. The discomfort or mockery that may have accompanied your transformation is being met with resilience and dignity. The passage of time, once viewed as a threat to your potential, is becoming evidence of growth. It is critical to understand this moment not as an end, but as a restructuring. Those who perceived you as weak or outdated are not privy to the internal renewal you're undergoing. Their view is based on surface metrics, age, energy, or appearance. Yet the transformation being orchestrated in your life goes far beyond what is visible. It is deep, lasting, and intentional. The process of renewal involves discomfort. You may feel isolated, underestimated, or burdened by past experiences. Yet these feelings are temporary. They are part of a broader process designed to bring you into alignment with who you are becoming, not who you once were. This isn't a reversal to your past condition, but a forward transformation into renewed strength and purpose. Even if your health has fluctuated, even if your energy seems limited, it does not mean your influence has faded. In fact, your presence refined by experience and humility is now more impactful than ever. Your story carries wisdom. Your resilience commands quiet authority. And that authority is not determined by physical capability, but by spiritual clarity. Throughout history, individuals who have been overlooked by society due to age or perceived weakness have been the very people through whom change and revelation have emerged. The idea that youth is the sole measure of worth is both outdated and inaccurate. True transformation begins not when we resist aging, but when we embrace the evolution that comes with it. You may have heard voices, internal or external, that suggest your contributions are no longer relevant. Perhaps you've been told that your best years are behind you, or that illness has disqualified you from continuing to grow. But the truth is that those voices do not hold authority. The only voice that matters now is the one calling you forward. This transformation is not just a metaphor. It involves the restoration of energy, clarity of mind, and a sense of purpose that had been dormant. What others see as decline is actually preparation. You're not being written off, you're being repositioned. Consider how the narrative around age has been shaped. For generations, the elderly were seen as the wisdom keepers, the guides, the ones who had seen enough to discern what truly matters. That role remains critical, especially in a world often dominated by speed over substance. Your voice, seasoned and thoughtful, is needed now more than ever. If your body has felt fragile or your energy has waned, it is not the final word. These are not signs of defeat. They are indicators of a transition into a more deliberate phase of life, where strength is measured not in velocity, but in stability, not in output, but in presence. Many people have experienced the mockery that accompanies aging. Comments on appearance, assumptions about capability, or social invisibility are real. These experiences can be deeply painful and may lead to feelings of insignificance, but they are not accurate reflections of your value. The renewal that is happening now is divine in origin. It doesn't rely on the approval of others or even on perfect circumstances. It relies on readiness, your openness to believe that restoration is still possible. Your belief that your body, mind, and spirit can still thrive is part of what activates this transformation. This doesn't mean ignoring the realities of aging or illness. Rather, it means integrating them into a larger understanding that these experiences are temporary and that healing is not only possible but already in motion. You are not forgotten. You are not being sidelined. You are being called forward in a new way. The transition from physical weakness to spiritual authority is one that many overlook. Yet it is the very path that allows you to connect with others on a deeper level. Your life experience, your resilience through hardship, and your ability to continue despite pain are now becoming your strength. This strength is not loud or flashy. It does not require recognition to be real. It is the kind of strength that restores others simply by your presence. It is the quiet power that enters the room when you speak truth, offer comfort, or guide someone with the clarity you've earned. Through decades of lived experience, you may notice that people begin to respond to you differently. They may not understand it at first, but something about you will feel different. That's because your transformation will not just be physical. It will extend into how you carry yourself, how you think, how you speak, and how you see the world. The changes won't happen all at once. Renewal is a process. Some days you'll feel revitalized. Other days may still feel heavy, but the trajectory is clear. Each day brings an incremental shift toward more energy, more confidence, and more clarity. Even your mind is being renewed. Where once there was confusion or forgetfulness, sharper thought will return. Where anxiety clouded your decisions, peace will begin to settle in. You'll start to think differently, not just about the world, but about yourself. This mental renewal is just as important as the physical. The internal narratives that once said you were too old or too tired will be replaced by narratives of strength and capability. You'll remember who you are, not just in identity, but in purpose. Part of this transformation involves releasing old perceptions. That includes letting go of how others have seen you and even how you've seen yourself. Perhaps you've internalized the view that age equals limitation, that illness equals defeat. But that perspective is changing now. You are not here to prove anyone wrong. You are here to live in alignment with the truth. And the truth is this: you are still valuable. You are still strong. And you are still capable of contributing something deeply meaningful to the world around you. People may begin to ask what changed. They may notice your energy, your presence, or even your appearance shifting. And while you may not have a perfect answer, you'll know the change is real because the source is real. You're being made new, not just improved or enhanced, but fundamentally renewed in ways that defy traditional explanations. This isn't about returning to who you were. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. God's design for you did not expire at a certain age. Your timeline is not dictated by public opinion or physical symptoms. Your life is still unfolding. And it's unfolding now, in this very season. This part of your journey is sacred. It requires you to walk forward with intention and awareness. The same energy you once gave to survival will now be redirected toward purpose. The strength that once carried others will now sustain you as you step into your renewed identity. You will start to sense alignment mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You'll notice your surroundings responding to your internal shift. Opportunities may arise. Relationships may deepen. Even your health may improve in ways that previously seemed unlikely, not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer resisting the process. You are cooperating with it. You are no longer wishing for what once was. You are embracing what is and what's coming next. Let this be your confirmation. You are not being left behind. You are not overlooked. You are being renewed from the inside out. And the evidence of that renewal will become more visible with each passing day. You are stepping into a season that redefines what aging looks like. Not a season of slowing down, but of slowing intentionally. Not of giving up, but of giving differently, with wisdom, with clarity, and with renewed purpose. Let the world see the transformation. Let your life speak without needing to convince anyone. Because soon, the changes will be undeniable. As your internal renewal continues, you may begin noticing external signs of confirmation. These signs are not always dramatic, but they are meaningful. A deeper sleep after months of restlessness, a return of appetite, a calmer state of mind, more clarity in conversations. These are not isolated improvements. They are cumulative indicators that healing is no longer a hope, it is a current reality. The restoration that is taking place may not follow expected timelines. Some areas may shift quickly, while others take time. This is not a sign of failure. Healing is layered. Your body, mind, and spirit are collaborating, often in silence, to bring balance where there was once breakdown. Many people mistakenly believe that transformation must be visible to be valid. That unless others can immediately see the results, it must not be real. But this journey isn't about external validation. It's about internal alignment. When your body begins to heal, your spirit begins to stabilize, and your outlook on life shifts toward peace. That's proof enough. You may be walking through a season where not everyone understands your changes. People may question your decisions, your quietness, or your need for space. That's because your transformation isn't meant to make sense to everyone. It's personal, it's spiritual, and it's protected. There will be moments where your strength is tested, not just physically, but emotionally. Old thoughts may resurface, questioning your progress. But these are echoes, not indicators. They are remnants of who you were, not signs of who you are becoming. Recognize them, but do not entertain them. Your new identity is forming in a space of clarity. You are no longer interested in performance. Your focus has shifted to presence. Instead of proving your worth, you are living it. Instead of defending your transformation, you are walking it out, calmly, consistently, an unapologetic ally. In the past, you may have settled for less due to fatigue or self-doubt. You may have avoided opportunities because of fear that your body or mind wouldn't keep up. That era is ending, not because everything is suddenly easy, but because you now recognize that discomfort is not always a signal to stop. Sometimes it's a cue to grow. This renewed mindset is leading you into a place of readiness, a place where your words carry weight not because of volume, but because of substance. People will begin to seek your perspective, not because you're the loudest, but because you are the most grounded. That grounding is the result of the internal shifts you've made, choosing truth over denial, rest over burnout, and clarity over confusion. These decisions have created a foundation strong enough to support the next chapter of your life. You may also notice that certain areas of your life begin to resolve without you forcing a solution. Financial issues, relational tensions, or even physical symptoms may begin to lift, not as a miracle, but as the byproduct of alignment. When your internal world is calibrated, your external world often follows. Your health may start improving. Your energy may return. Your mind may clear. These are not coincidences. They are consequences of cooperation with a process bigger than yourself. You are not just getting better. You are being restructured for longevity. This new version of you does not have to apologize for growing, healing, or changing. It does not have to shrink to fit old environments. It does not have to pretend to be unaffected by disrespect, neglect, or belittlement. You now recognize your worth, and you protect it not with aggression, but with boundaries. These boundaries are not punishments for others. They are protections for your peace. And peace is now your priority. You are also being called to recognize the difference between comfort and alignment. Not everything that feels good for you, and not everything that challenges you is meant to be rejected. Some discomfort is divine. It teaches, stretches, and reveals in this next season. Discernment will be essential. You will need to decide what stays and what goes, not only in your environment, but also in your habits, relationships, and beliefs. For example, does this conversation elevate or drain me? Does this activity restore my energy or deplete it? Does this relationship reflect mutual respect or chronic imbalance? These questions are not about judgment. They are about stewardship. You are stewarding your health, your clarity, and your presence. And stewardship requires choices. There's no more time to engage in cycles that rob you of peace. The season for tolerating what diminishes your value is over. You are no longer available for distractions that disguise themselves. As opportunities dot instead, your focus is shifting towards sustainability. You are building rhythms that last. Morning routines that anchor you. Thought patterns that empower you. Relationships that honor your growth. Even your spiritual life is evolving. What once felt like obligation now feels like connection. You are no longer chasing signs, you are living them. No longer begging for answers, you are becoming the answer in how you live, how you speak, and how you choose. This maturity doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It means you are stable, even when everything isn't clear. It means your decisions are no longer driven by fear, but by values. And those values are beginning to influence others. You may not realize it, but people are watching how you move. They're noticing your resilience, your calm, your boundaries. You are becoming an example, not by intention, but by embodiment. Your healing is not just a private event. It is a message to others that renewal is possible. That age is not an expiration date. That pain is not a permanent sentence. That transformation can happen in the second half of life, and often, that's when it becomes most powerful. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are aligned. And in this alignment, acceleration becomes possible. Opportunities that were once delayed begin to resurface. Doors you assumed were closed reopen, not because of striving, but because of readiness. You have done the work. You have faced the discomfort. And now, the environment is responding to your shift. Even in relationships, you'll find new connections forming. Ones that reflect your values. Ones that don't require explanation, only presence. These people will feel like home not because they mirror your past, but because they resonate with your present. This is the fruit of the internal renovation you've allowed. The people, places, and platforms coming into your life now are aligned not with your history, but with your healing. Your next chapter is not about proving who you are, it's about enjoying who you've become. And in that enjoyment, you give others permission to pursue their own renewal. Your stability becomes their encouragement. Your strength becomes their roadmap. Your quietness becomes their inspiration. This is the essence of legacy. Not just what you leave behind, but what you model while you're still here. Legacy is lived long before it's remembered. You are now in a place where rest is not laziness, it is strategy. Where solitude is not loneliness, it is clarity. Where saying no is not selfish, it is sacred. You are not here to maintain a version of yourself that others understand. You are here to live in a way that reflects what is true, sustainable, and aligned. The results of this transformation will become visible soon. If not already, a lighter spirit, a clearer mind, a body that responds with new energy, a schedule that reflects what truly matters. This isn't fantasy. It is the result of intentional spiritual cooperation. And now that it's underway, there is no going back. You're not just aging, you're ascending. You're not just surviving, you're becoming. And as this process continues, your role becomes clearer. Not to convince, but to carry. Not to chase, but to choose. Not to perform, but to live. This is your moment to stand fully in your healed self, not as a version of the past, but as the embodiment of what has emerged through discipline, courage, and grace. Others may still view aging as decline. You now understand it as refinement. They may see illness as defeat. You now recognize it as redirection. They may call your season late. You know it's right on time. The transformation is complete when you no longer need permission to live in your healing. And that time is now at this stage of your journey. What was once a process of internal awakening and physical renewal becomes something larger than individual change. It becomes embodiment. Embodiment means that you are no longer simply learning or healing. You are now becoming. What once felt like a future goal is now your present reality. You are no longer trying to reach transformation. You are living it. This final stage is quiet. It's not marked by announcements or applause. No one may even realize what's happening. But within you, there is a knowing. You are not the same person you once were. You are more grounded, more aware, and more aligned. And this alignment shows up in how you carry yourself, how you respond, and how you remain calm in spaces where you once felt overwhelmed. You no longer feel the need to defend your growth. You no longer explain your peace. Your presence speaks. And that presence is a result of consistency. Consistency in how you protect your energy. Consistency in how you make decisions. Consistency in how you return to your values, even when it's inconvenient. That consistency is what makes your transformation sustainable. Without it, change is temporary. But with it, transformation becomes identity. You are no longer striving for healing. You are stewarding it. You are not seeking clarity. You are walking in it. This is the moment where the awakening shifts. From being an experience to becoming your operating system. People around you might begin to notice subtle differences. They may not be able to name what's changed, but they'll sense that something about you feels more solid, more peaceful, more deliberate. That's because you're no longer reacting to life. You're responding with intention. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You're living like you are. The world is still noisy. It still pulls at your attention and tries to define you by outdated measures. But you now have the tools to navigate that noise without being swallowed by it. You've learned to prioritize what feeds your peace. You've learned to disconnect from what pulls you out of alignment. You've learned that clarity often requires quiet. And so, you've built a rhythm that allows you to hear, to discern, and to respond without being rushed. This rhythm isn't rigid, it's rooted. It gives you flexibility without confusion. You can adjust your pace without losing your direction. That is the fruit of alignment. You no longer feel guilty for slowing down. You no longer feel pressured to keep up. You trust the pace set by your spirit, not the one dictated by urgency. In this space, you begin to see how your life has become a message. You're not preaching change, you are modeling it. You're not convincing others of your worth, you are living from it. The transformation has become so internalized that it naturally expresses itself in everything you do. In your words, in your posture, in your choices. This is the maturity of healing. When you reach a place where you no longer need breakthrough moments to validate your growth, you realize that you are the breakthrough. You have become the evidence. Your presence in a room shifts the environment not because of status, but because of the spiritual work you've done in silence. You've passed through fire, and yet you carry peace. You've endured disappointment, and yet you speak with hope. You've healed from what should have hardened you, and yet you remain open. This is not accidental. It is the result of choosing clarity over chaos again and again. As you continue living this transformation, you may find yourself drawn to people who are still in earlier phases of their journey. Not because you want to fix them, but because your presence may offer confirmation. Your words may offer clarity, and your consistency may remind them that lasting change is possible. This is where purpose begins to extend. It's no longer only about your healing. It's about how your healing contributes to the collective. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to reflect peace. Every interaction becomes a chance to demonstrate patience. Every decision becomes a statement of alignment. You begin to lead, not by position, but by presence. You start to mentor, not with instruction, but by example. You realize that your journey, once marked by quiet struggle, has now become a guidepost for others navigating similar paths. And yet, you remain humble, because you know the cost. You know the nights you endured. You know the silence you withstood. You know the fears you faced. So, you don't seek recognition. You seek resonance. You seek to live in a way that continues to honor the clarity you've been given. You protect your space, not from ego, but from reverence. You say no, not out of avoidance, but out of discernment. You rest, not from laziness, but from understanding that rest is part of rhythm. There will be days that challenge your alignment. You may be tempted to revert, to shrink, to compromise. But even on those days, you will now carry something you didn't before: awareness. And awareness is what allows you to recover quickly. You don't linger in misalignment. You don't spiral. You reset. You've trained your spirit to notice the signs. You've built your life to support your values. So even when pressure comes, you do not collapse. You recalibrate. And that chosen one is the evidence of transformation. Not that you never falter, but that you always return. You always realign. You always remember who you are, even when others forget. This part of the journey isn't loud. It's consistent. It doesn't look like a highlight reel. It looks like integrity. It looks like peace. It looks like presence. And in a world addicted to spectacle, your quiet alignment will be revolutionary. Let that be enough. Let your life be the confirmation. Let your peace be the testimony. You are not chasing transformation anymore. You are living it. Every step you take now confirms what has already shifted. Every choice you make reinforces the truth you now embody. This is your season of integration. This is your time to live the transformation, not for approval, but because it's who you've become. And as you walk forward, remember, your alignment is your authority. Your rhythm is your revelation. Your peace is your power. You are not waiting for anything else. You are here. You are whole. And you are ready. As the transformation continues, the chosen one enters a deeper understanding of how renewal operates. Beyond personal restoration, it becomes a blueprint for impact. Healing is no longer just about your own energy, strength, or mind. It becomes a platform through which you help others heal too. This is the maturity of spiritual awakening, when personal alignment becomes a foundation for service. The world around you is still watching, not with skepticism, but with curiosity. There's something about a person who has walked through fire and yet carries peace. There's a gravity to it. When others sense your inner stability, they begin to ask different questions. They're not just looking for advice. They're looking for anchoring. This is your role now, not to carry burdens for others, but to become a lighthouse in unstable conditions. When others drift, you remain steady. When panic spreads, you offer clarity. And when uncertainty clouds judgment, your life demonstrates what alignment looks like in real time. A renewed life is a powerful message. It reminds people that time is not the end, it's the evidence of refinement. The older you become, the more your life speaks. And the stronger your presence becomes, the deeper your impact reaches. This is not by accident. This is divine intention. Now, as we close this message, take a moment to acknowledge just how far you've come. You've endured challenges that could have broken you, seasons that tried to erase your purpose, and voices that attempted to define you by your limits. But none of that succeeded. You are still here, still breathing, and still carrying the undeniable mark of being chosen. If this message has resonated with you, don't let it end here. Make a decision to carry this truth into your daily life. Let it shape your words, your relationships, and your sense of self. Let it guide how you move, how you lead, and how you respond to a world that often forgets the value of divine timing.